Welcome to Mastering the Art of Success. I'm your host, Debbi DiMaggio. We are here today with Captain Carsten Franik. He is coming to us from Mallorca, Spain today. Welcome, Carsten.
Thank you for having
Uh,
me. Hi, Debbie.
oh, you're welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. So, in the last week, tell me how many countries you've been to.
Only a few. It was
Okay.
a private mission, so nothing spectacular, really. Just
Well, you were
random
in
traveling.
Monaco, you were in
Um,
Thailand,
yes, that's right. Yeah,
Germany,
that's right. Yeah, a
Germany, and
little
now
bit.
Mallorca. So more than
Uh-huh.
the average person.
Okay,
Well, let us properly introduce you and then we'll get started. Carsten Franik is a
sure.
super yacht captain and seasoned leader with over 20 years of experience navigating some of the world's most challenging waters while leading elite crews and serving high profile clients. An explorer at heart, his pursuit of truth, purpose, and human potential has carried him far beyond distant horizons and into profound inner journeys and self discovery, transformation, and service. Carsten embodies the rare combination of captain and spiritual seeker. He is willing to step into the unknown and to navigate extreme challenges, whether in outer adventures or inner reckonings. Believing that the true compass for life is not control, but presence, he brings disciplined leadership together with deep spiritual awareness to live a life rooted in creativity, love, and authenticity. Today, Carsten helps high achievers who feel successful but stuck navigate purpose-driven transformations. Drawing on the clarity of a captain and the curiosity of a spiritual explorer, he guides clients to align with who they truly are and the impact they are here to make. His coaching creates a safe yet challenging space to rediscover purpose, unlock resilience, and redefine success, not as a destination, but as a lived alignment of fulfillment and inner freedom. Wow, that is just beautiful. It is really
Sounds good.
magnificent. It is very good, and I'm very impressed. So let's start from the beginning. I always like to paint a picture of where you're from, how you got to where
Sure.
you are today, and was yachting something you thought you might do when you were younger, and you might go into it at a later, when you grew up.
Sure. Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, in a nutshell, thank you, Debbie. In a nutshell, I started being a sailor as a kid. So I was so passionate about sailing, and growing up in Germany and having all the lakes around me, I started sailing as a 6-year-old. My parents
Wow.
supported me, and yeah, so that was a lot of fun. And 20 years later, I had my first boat command skipper job, and this is how it all started.
And so you grew up in where in Germany? In Munich, did you
I
say,
grew
or?
up now north of Frankfurt, like 2 hours north of Frankfurt. But very
Okay.
quickly, as soon as I had a driver's license, I was in Italy and France and Spain. So, so
Traveling like
I
a
escaped.
European, you escaped. So how
Yeah,
was it? How did you were 20, so how did you start doing your trips? Were you start captaining at that time, or were you sailing for fun? And then what was it like? How did
yeah.
you get your license, your captain's license, and how did you go from a sailboat to a super yacht?
It was anything else but straightforward and captain-like. It was quite chaotic.
Well,
So it
share it.
started. Yeah, it's I had actually, to be honest, I had problems like aligning myself. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I loved being at sea so much, so it was calling me, and it started small, so you with tiny boats, and then getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So it was day charters and then weekly charters, and this is how it started and evolved. And I realized it could be a career to pursue, and that's what I did. So yeah, from a humble position, I can say it was an organic growth and slow, relatively slow, because I think in this industry, it's a relatively small industry. First of all, everyone knows each other, so it's a when you develop your name and your reputation, then everyone knows you and sees you growing along the way. And it's actually tough to build up a reputation early on, because nobody gives you a captain's job straight away, even when you have the
Right.
licenses. So you have to work it. You have to really go for it and aim for it. Otherwise, you not get there.
So my frame of reference is on Below Deck, all the different
Oh,
positions that
that's
reality TV
fast.
show. I'm sure you hate hearing this, but that's where they showcase all the different jobs that people do. So did you start from, I can't name all the jobs, but did you start working on a smaller yacht before you made it to super yachts? And did you have different positions within
Yeah,
the organization?
yeah, definitely. You start building up your experience and you work up the ranks. So you start scrubbing decks and cleaning decks as a deckhand, and then eventually, when you're lucky, you're able to be part of a bridge team and navigate at night. Even that's the highlight. But you have to. I think it's fun to learn everything early on and then build yourself up. That's the best way.
And as a captain, do
Yes.
you understand all of the components that are happening down in the mechanical room?
Ideally, yes, but I think it depends. I mean, depends what size of program you run there or you manage. You cannot be an expert in everything, and it would be dangerous actually if you want to be that expert. So at some stage with the teams growing, you need to learn to delegate. That's what I had to learn also the hard way because I did a steep jump from one boat to the other in size, and I had to basically relearn the way I lead and I manage resources and people. So yeah, it's a trial and error for me always in my entire life, and I learned so much. It's a very demanding environment, but it's also fun when you see what you can achieve together. In a team.
Absolutely. So how on a super yacht, how many team members do you have that are part of the whole crew?
Yeah, yeah, it depends. I mean, the boats I was running mainly were below 10 crew members. It's relatively small boats. So in this kind of size of teams, you have dual roles, or even you have several different roles in one crew member, including the captain.
Okay.
And I worked on boats with up to 35 crew, and it's obviously a different game of managing your resources. It's more than of an, I would say, mentor and yeah, guide, a guide basically to the ones who want to become a captain or want to build up their career in the ranks. And if you micromanage then too much, and if you're too active, then that's not good. So you have the young guys trying to grow fast, and you want to help them as much as you can.
And how are you learning? Do you go to school or how do you learn? That bridge looks just massive. So how did you learn how to captain a ship?
Yeah, you learn. You start small. I mean, basically, in its essence, the systems are all the same, like in a car. If you can compare a car with a
Okay.
lorry, it's a steering wheel and there's a gear and there's a throttle. So it's not so rocket sciencey, but obviously the systems on a yacht are relatively complex. I mean, the whole animal is basically a floating hotel, if you can call it that way.
Hmm.
So we are in the service hospitality industry, but also navigation. So how did I learn it? By doing, and by obviously also going to the relevant schools and training facilities everywhere in the world. So there are you can study that and become a master mariner, and that's in theory a process of at least 6 years of
Okay.
studies, based on practical experience and sea time. And if you're lucky, then someone gives you a command, or you start working as an officer and then build yourself up uh, to be a command on board. So, but that is driving or navigating the yacht, which is maybe 20% of my job.
Oh,
But
wow.
obviously, you have the crew to run. So the crew is essential. You need think of a Formula One team.
Okay.
So it's that kind of pace and that kind of skill level, and also that kind of demand, and it needs to be the precision needed, and safety especially as well, like in the Formula One team. That needs to be managed. So we manage safety first of all, and then we manage logistics and ops. And when I speak of ops, that's obviously guests going from A to B, or being served, or with entertainment such as water sports, or any sorts of culinary experiences they want to have, al fresco or something, or if they want
Mhm.
to do cool adventures ashore. So we are basically a travel agency. We are a little hospital. We are obviously Michelin star cuisine and so on and so forth, a water sports center. So we are, yeah, it's quite a live animal running 365 days a year, night and day. So that needs to be managed.
So do you work on many different yachts, or do you have one particular yacht that you are captain of?
Yeah, that question comes up a lot. You have a permanent contract, ideally a rotation. So when you're lucky, you share the boat with another captain. So you have a two on, two off setup, which I never had actually. And um, Sorry, what was the question again? What did you just ask?
Oh, are you a captain of more than one super yacht, or
Of
do
more than
you?
one, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you have a permanent contract, like the entire crew is permanently employed. Sometimes, obviously, you have people who come and go. You also have to dismiss people when they're not performing properly. So again, as I said, it's a demanding industry. Um, but normally, you are on board a yacht and you serve for years. So you establish a
Okay.
good reputation and also a good, obviously, connection to the clients, to the owners, and so on.
It seems like a family. Like you're on.
It is.
It's one big family. You're very close. Obviously, in a super yacht, not as close quarters, but you're still close quarters. You're out in sea. So what? I was just going
Yeah.
to ask when you said you also have to dismiss people. I was just about to ask before you said that. What was a reason that one or two of you, the people, were dismissed?
Mm, I mean, it happens rarely. I'm someone personally who has a lot of patience, and I had to learn it the hard way, first of all, as well, to also consider dismissal or, yeah. But usually it is, I mean, it rarely happens, to be honest. Sometimes they're resigning because they're really worked so hard, and they are basically so tired from the job that sometimes a resignation from the job is the only way to get out of this. It's a, yeah, it's not as easy as it sounds. It sounds all so fancy and
Oh, no, not by
sitting.
watching those shows. They look like they're very worked.
Yeah, exactly. So usually they resign before you have to dismiss someone. But if someone does gross misconduct, drug abuse, which never happened
Mm.
to me. I never had some situations like this, or alcohol, luckily. But yeah, if it gets unsafe, or if the job is too demanding for that particular crew member, then you need to talk, and then it's best to make them, exchange them with someone who is capable for this position.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what are some
Uh-huh.
challenges do you face on board in both operations and in leadership?
Yeah, and operations, I would say in general, um, is meeting the demands of the client, and keeping it safe at the same time. Obviously that's your main job, to give them the most fun, and at the
Yeah,
same time, from the professional perspective, you need to also master the art of saying no to certain
right. I can
requests.
imagine. They get a little drunk and they want to do it and you're trying to,
Yeah.
be nice and let them have fun. It's their yacht, but you also need to make sure they're safe.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
would
so
be hard.
most of the owners are very experienced. They have boats since many years, and it's not their first boat, so
Right.
they know the drill. And um, you know, the only protection I have is the weather. When the weather is not in our favor, then I can say no.
Yeah, I can't
But
do that tonight.
no, but anything else, I mean, yeah, it's just trying to really meet their requests and make them happy. Really, this is our job. Yeah.
Right. Has anything happened at sea where it was scary, whether it was waves or a mechanical breakdown or just something out of your control?
No, I mean, if you have guests on board, then these things should never occur. You would never leave a port and going into a weather, because these days you have technology to tell you everything about the next 7 days at
Right,
sea. So it shouldn't happen with guests on board. This is rather
right.
unprofessional. Sometimes, however, the yachts will be they are moved to another destination, like far away, let's say Seychelles to the Med, and that's without guests. And then you obviously have to push through weather systems which are not really easy to manage. So the crew gets all seasick, and you need to see if
Oh,
you can push the boat to its sort of moderate limits, I would say, not to break things, but to, bring her from A to B, basically.
wow. That's
So that's the
crazy.
idea. Yeah, yeah,
That could be scary.
yeah.
Privately, what challenges do you face while living such an intense life at sea? I mean, it sounds like you could be on, I mean, how long at one time? Were you on for a year? Were you on for long periods of time? Do you get breaks?
This is really interesting, and that's probably also a topic I would discuss with you later in the talk, is that when you start young in any career, then obviously you do what is asked,
Mhm.
what you're asked to do, and you want to be successful, and you go beyond your limits, and you don't know. I mean, when you're younger, then obviously you have a lot of power, and you can, have a 4 hour sleep and then work 20 hours, and that's back to back for months.
Wow.
So in my case, I technically I was working the last 20 years nonstop, and I paid a price, also.
Mm.
And I think other maybe bankers, other people in businesses, they're also paying their price in a similar way. And that is where now my mm, I would say self-realization efforts are coming into play, where I manage to find a balance, because I dare to want that balance and to say no to a job offer here and there, rather than trying to make the extra buck, and
Right.
and but usually, I mean, the last 20 years I've been on board for 8 months, 9 months, 10 months nonstop,
Wow.
and sometimes dual seasons. So we are working 7 weeks, 7 days a week, and month after month. So sometimes 120 days nonstop at guest operation.
Wow. That's insane. So how
Yeah.
are you remaining healthy? How are you working out? Are you eating right? Are you getting enough sleep? I mean, it seems like I don't know how you could do any of the healthy part because you're working 7 days. So break down a day for us. What does that look like for you?
Well, I mean, first of all, with health, again, when you're younger, you can take a lot, and you don't feel it. But usually after 90 days, 100 days, you go into zombie mode. So you don't feel your body anymore, and you just function, because it is the common demand. The whole team is working on a high pace, and nobody's complaining because they're too tired to complain. Nobody's, because you just push through, and that is obviously not
Right.
healthy. And that's a
Right.
huge problem in the industry. The shipping industry is way is structured and regulated in a different way than a modern yachting industry still, unfortunately. But so we push through. And how do I manage now in my age? How do I manage my health? Is meditation, working out if I can. Obviously, space is a problem, because sometimes you have to work out in the engine room as you are navigating at sea. That means you have this huge engines next to you, and it's super hot in there, and then the
Oh,
only
wow.
chance to work out is between these engines, and everyone is doing it, and most of the crew members are doing this. I mean, the young
You
guys,
just find a space and start running in place or jump roping or doing
Yeah,
sit-ups
yeah,
or wow, that takes a lot of
yeah.
discipline to do it in a place that's not exactly the most comfortable. Um,
Hmm.
so can you share one or two of your most craziest or most unforgettable adventures from your career?
Yeah, for sure. There's actually one popping into my head when people ask me this.
Okay.
Um, a classic sailing yacht delivery means no guests, so just bringing the boat from A to B from Cape Town to Mallorca. So that is essentially the South Atlantic, the North Atlantic, and then some parts of the Med to go to Spain in the Mediterranean. And I was told that the boat was in mint condition, and so we arrived, some temporary crew, 6 crew members only. And It's a really extensive story, so I don't want to go into detail because I
Oh,
could
it's
talk for
okay.
hours
We have
about
time. Share the story. We want to hear
Yeah.
stories.
Sure, yeah, sure. I mean, we nearly sank on the way. It was human error, I have to say. There was a mistake done with isolating the wrong valve, and then we suddenly had seawater, taking on seawater in the South Atlantic, and so not even having managed to sail a lot, like only 2 weeks into the passage, which is supposed to take 2.5 months. By the way, it took 5 months.
Oh my God.
And it was the most brutal experience I had, but I learned so much from it. I mean, the sinking we obviously avoided because otherwise I wouldn't be here. And and it's incredible what happened based on that because I came across Namibia, and I would have never traveled to Namibia if we wouldn't have these technical problems. So we pulled into Walvis Bay, Namibia, for repairs, and I met so
And
many
that's
amazing
where
people
all
there.
these a lot of the images that we played. So let's go. Okay, so you were
Mhm.
able to pull in. How were you far off in the water? But was it far for you to
Yeah.
be? And were the mechanical people able to get the water out, or were you just kind of sinking as you were going to shore? Like how does that work?
The
Half
mechanical
sinking and
people, yeah, the whole crew were all pumping manually. No, but we had it took us 12 days to go from where we were suffering
12
that
days, that's a lifetime
yeah,
when you're sinking when you're sinking, I can imagine.
yeah. So it was not fun. And when we arrived in Namibia, which is only the next country north of South Africa, it took us then 5 weeks to repair the boat, bring it back to speed, and then obviously only then embark on the real adventure, which is the most part of the South Atlantic. And then fuel pump not working properly because we took the wrong, or we received the wrong fuel. So we had major problems on the equator, and then major problems with weather in the North Atlantic. And it was just the combination of the technical side of the adventure, the challenges there, the crew. I mean, I was forced to put some crew together. I basically recruited in bars
Oh,
because
wow.
July 2015, nobody was available there. Everyone was working. So I was literally going from bar to bar in Mallorca and asking, "Are you free to work?" Having a glass in the hand. So it was rough. It was like really like pirates. Good
Oh my
guys and certainly like experienced, but it was like so challenging with the crew, uh, and uh, and just this whole environment. I mean, normally in yachting you go from Saint Tropez to Monaco, or
right.
maybe you do an Atlantic crossing on a 70-meter yacht or so, but this one was like just rough and terrible. And I was in charge. I left with 92 kilos and arrived with 74 kilos, like
Oh my.
skinny. And
Yeah,
so I think most of what I know now for this business is what I learned from that trip.
I bet. And you were saying that was a new yacht? It started as
No,
a new Oh,
no, no, no. She's built in 1904, so it's a classic, beautiful boat.
oh.
Yeah,
Oh, this
yeah.
was not a big not a big, this
No,
was an old,
no.
oh, wow, that is scary. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I thought you were on one of your super yachts. Wow. Oh, okay.
No, no.
That is
Yeah,
terrifying. I did not
yeah.
realize it was an old one. Oh my gosh. Oh, all right. With that, we're going to go to
Uh-huh.
commercial break and we will be right back with Captain Karsten.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. Yeah, it feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, Belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical. Mike Zorich, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorich, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorich has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk.
Welcome back to Mastering the Art of Success. I'm your host, Debbi DiMaggio. We are here with Captain Carsten of Superyachts. So you had a little deviation from your leaving South Africa, and it took how long to get to finally get to your destination? 5
In
months,
total,
did you say?
5 months, and it's obviously anything else but short or effective. But we had so many technical problems on the way. It was just, not normal.
So along the way, though, you experienced some things that you would never have experienced. Of course, tons of learning. But tell us about Namibia.
Namibia, yes,
Namibia. You
indeed.
have some beautiful photos that you shared, and it
hmm
looked incredible. So share some of those photos and what it was like to you.
Yeah, first of all, it's a crazy country because it's so vast and not populated. It's beautiful, and I can highly recommend to travel there. When I was there the first time, I didn't even know what is behind these dunes, and only then a year later, after this trip, someone I met in Namibia called me to come down to Namibia to buy a car and explore Africa as you think in Africa, like lions, elephants, and Land Rovers and all that. And I did it.
Exactly.
And I did that. And I faced all my fears in Namibia alone. I learned a little bit about camping and about dealing with wild animals. And I realized that this is all fears in your head. And um, basically, it changed my life, that experience. And it was a period of maybe 4 or 5 years because I always returned to Namibia after working on yachts. So I did a 9-month stint on a yacht and then 3 months barefoot in the wild, basically. And
Wow.
and 1,700 kilometers, I don't know what 7 miles, coastline. Nobody's kite surfing there, and I'm a kite surfer. I thought, I could start some sort of kite surf expedition there. And I won clients for that even, and some Red Bull photographer was interested and professional kiteboarders came. So there was out of a situation at sea with nearly sinking and a coincident encounter with Namibia, it turned out to be an incredible, fun expedition, which turned into a little business even.
Wow. So where were you? You said it was from the photos, it looked like it was very vast and there weren't a lot of people around. So where were the clients coming from? Were they going to vacation here and that's where you got the clients, or were you in the middle of nowhere? How did
Yeah,
how did that
that
happen?
that was an adventure in itself to get clients for this because first of all, how do you generate content? How do you show what is it about? Instagram profile, you don't have any photos because nobody goes to Namibia for kite surfing. But the term fake it until you make it. So I was kind of tweaking some photos. And I actually found through a contact in Brazil 5 very interesting, experienced kite surfers who normally kite surf in Brazil. And interesting characters, like head of insurance from HSBC and like really like high profile business people and some, venture capitalists and super cool people in their mid 40s to mid 50s. And we did a not Zoom call. Back then there was no Zoom. I think it was a Skype call, six people. And they asked, like, why should we do this with you? You've never done it anyway, right? I mean, this is... And I was like, yeah, it looks a bit like you're my guinea pigs, but you would be the first humans on this planet who ever kite surfed 700 kilometers along the oldest desert of the world. So isn't that cool, you know? So you're pioneers. Do you want to join? And so where can we sign? So we had my first...
That was the hook. That was the hook. You reeled them in. Telling a bunch of very successful people that they're going to be number one.
Yeah, and then I obviously had content to show, and then the second trip was not so far, and this is how it grew.
So are you kite surfing over the desert or are you kite surfing over the water?
No, you kite surf on the water along this absolutely untouched coastline, and the support team, think of cool manly stuff like Land Rovers and the sand, V8 engines, and then the kite surfers at sea, and then the team following along the coast. So it's
wow.
I'm not saying it's just for men. Obviously, we had like female clients as well.
Wow.
But it's just so much fun. It's like, oh, it's incredible. You eat under the stars. Obviously, you sleep in tents on the fire, and you have everything, basically all the comfort. You have a shower, you know. You even have ice cubes if you want to, and your gin tonic, whatever, you know.
Right.
So
wow. So you didn't. So were the people who lived there did they have all the setup of the tent and everything, and you just were, and this has already been going on, or did you curate the whole entire thing from the kite surfing to the accommodations?
It took me a year of preparation and a year of trying to convince local service providers like tour guides who have the equipment like tents, drivers, and so on and so forth. We had even a helicopter on standby for an emergency, and even a paramedic, because it's a very remote area, and if someone suffers an injury, you need to have a backup there. So it's super remote. There is no road, hospital, gas station, nothing. So you have to bring everything yourself, and this is what we organized. And
wow, you did it all. Okay, how did you manage that? I mean, you were a captain, and you just took off time to. This was just another piece of. And do you still do that there today?
No, but I learned a lot. I learned to listen to my inner voice more because of that. Because back then it was clear that I just go with the flow and just don't think about any consequences or so, you know, or not even the outcome, you know, in the sense. Obviously, you are planning the safety, you're managing safety professionally, like at sea, but you're not thinking this must be a success, you know. So this is maybe the big takeaway from that experience, to just have fun, first of all, and be, you know, find your passion and do that. And then you suddenly see how it grows organically and without forcing it. You know?
So how do you balance structure and discipline with compassion and curiosity when helping others navigate change?
Wow, yeah, that's a good question. I think if you think of leadership on board a yacht, happy crew, happy boat, happy owner, first of all, you know. And so the team you work with is so important, and you should not be in the way too much as a leader. You must be present and aware and awake and compassionate and very patient and very clear with your wording. But most of it is flow, and that's beautiful to see this whole team. Think again of a Formula One team, to see this, the dancing the dance, to see them work, changing tires. I mean, I think of Formula One now, but on a yacht, these procedures are similar. And if you allow someone to see or basically if you show someone that they actually are valuable and that they are capable and they have potential, and if you point towards a direction and they see it, then the rest is just crazy, you know. They take off like a rocket. So imagine you plant this seed into everyone's head. Yeah, everyone is different, but if you lead by example by being so passionate about it and not micromanaging people, then it's still hell usually. It's still hard work. I'm not saying it's easy peasy because of that, but
Right.
um, you can tell when you see a team working. Let's say you're in a luxury restaurant or hotel, you can
Right.
tell what the vibe is.
Right.
And you can tell if people are able to grow organically or if they're like in straitjackets and forced into some role.
Absolutely. No, I'm very visual, so I'm visualizing it's and how you operate. It's very clear and concise, and everyone has a duty, and you don't want to micromanage them. You want to give them what their role, and they need to know their role, and you will help them if they need, but you really want them to embrace and make it theirs. So they're doing their authentic work themselves, and they're happy with themselves, and I'm sure you're complimenting them too to inspire them to continue to do good jobs. But it seems like, yes, a very well-oiled machine when you're on the ship, especially because of the safety factor probably is so large. But when you speak about the restaurants or a hotel, let's say, and you mentioned the way the service is at a restaurant, I remember just the Four Seasons Hotel is just the way they train their people is just amazing because everyone's
Mhm.
super friendly and they're super nice. But you can be at other hotels too and you have that experience. But at the Four Seasons, their training is so incredible because whether it's the pool boy or the doorman, everyone just has a way about them, and it seems like they really enjoy being there. And so I asked a pool boy one time, we were staying at one of the high-rise Four Seasons in Baltimore. Our son was at a lacrosse camp, so we decided to go to the East Coast and stay at the Four Seasons. And I remember asking the pool boy, why is everyone at the Four Seasons so amazing? Why is everyone so nice? And it just seems
Mhm.
effortless. And he said, because they treat us the way they want us to treat the guests. And it pretty much summed it up. And so
Mhm.
I just think that is brilliant. And you see in other places that things don't move that smoothly. But I can see that as you're the captain of any ship that you're the captain of, things run smoothly. So with that, if let's go into your coach. So do you coach as well?
Well, I mean, it's I'm in a transition. I do coach. I think first of all, I struggled with the word coach.
Right.
It's basically a journey to further contribute what I've learned from practical experience to people. And I would not, I would not force my wisdom onto people, especially my friends and family. So when you're invited to share your wisdom, then I'm happy to do that. And I realize that there is a huge potential for me there because I what we haven't discussed yet is that in the last 5 years especially, I've been doing some sort of self-study or self-experiment in many ways. So physically, mentally, I basically opened up to many cultures because I think there's a lot of wisdom out there. And there's also a huge difference between knowledge as such, as an education and books, conceptual, intellectual information available, and wisdom. So these are two different things. And I learned this because I've pushed myself so hard in the extremes to find out what material I'm made of. And I learned so much from these experiences that it kind of there's a calling in me telling me that I should share this with people. So I'm currently in a state where everything falls into place, and without forcing it, I realize that I already do help people. You can call it
Hmm.
coaching or um, and
Mentoring.
mentoring, but it usually works only with very important with important ingredients, which is um, total awareness and concentration on who you're with. You really need to be fully present, otherwise the effect is not as it should be. So I'm very selective with whom I share my wisdom with. but it seems to it evolves. It just happens all the time, and I learn so much from them as well as I tap into their, I wouldn't call it problems, but everyone, especially now, is struggling on. And
Right.
so I'm very passionate about this main topic, which is that it feels collectively on this planet like we have this, wherever you travel to, and I travel a lot, it appears that we have similar problems currently.
Right.
We feel powerless, or we feel disconnected, and we feel
Mhm.
threatened, and all these things. And I think I've learned a lot the last 5 years to not follow this illusion, to not suffering from this image, which I've then would
Right.
have eventually put in my head. So I'm free. I freed myself from fear, and I freed myself from certain mechanics which would stop me seeing the real big picture of why we are here and who we are. So it goes really deep, and there's a lot I can share. So I'm so
No, I
excited about it.
definitely, yeah, we definitely want to go. So I know how I block out the news. Well, literally, how I block out
Mhm.
all of the negative things you just said, how we all collectively feel fear and this and that and powerless. It's all 100% true. And so for me, I do not listen to the news. I definitely keep in my own space and do my positive things. And whether I'm writing or I could be watching YouTube in the background while I'm working, but it's a beautiful scenery. For me, it could be design or travel, but I just can't, even the news seeps in, even if I'm posting a real estate post on Twitter, news will
Mhm.
just fly in my face without me even trying. So it's not hard to know what's going on without listening to the news. So that's how I do it. How do you block out the news, or how would you train someone to do what you're doing right now? Is you're kind of in flow and you're going with what you want to do, and you're clearly being positive and sharing your wisdom. So how do you block out the news, and how to block out the noise, and how do you train people to do that and live a positive, happy life and not feel so suppressed?
Yeah, I don't block out anything. I just accept what is, first of all. So there
Okay.
is some sort of not forcing it, and just being a perceiver of a situation, and becoming very precise with observing what I think about the situation. So apparently, everything around you comes from outside, and you perceive it as a perceiver, as a watcher. But the reality is that everything happens. You are creating this experience, and for one person, a terrible situation could be terrible, and for the other, not so terrible. So it's all what
Mhm.
you make of the story. So I think you don't need to block anything. Um, I would say you can start with mm, having the goal to find peace with things, with yourself. So that's a big one. You can start with that, I would say, to build a solid foundation of uh, a future peaceful life, which is very powerful. You can be very successful based on that. Um, you would need to peel the onion and start with working on your fears, and with your, if you sense any guilt, if you have any trauma. So basically, I don't like the word so much, but shadow work. If you are becoming comfortable with your darkest hours, and it's not that you need to suffer or have painful experiences, but usually they are painful. They appear painful and hard on the beginning, but if you stay there a bit longer, and try not to identify yourself with it, then there is some sort of a wisdom opening up, and it is embedded in all of us. So naturally, you want to steer away from negative experiences. You have a memory, so, oh, I don't want this again, I don't want that again. So I'm not getting there, but I do the opposite. I go where it's painful. I cultivated some comfortable feeling about it. And there's so much sacred information in this. Not sure if I'm explaining myself
Can you give
clear
us an
enough.
example so we can understand where you're going with?
Um, yeah. Um, hmm.
Maybe something you were fearful about, or you overcame, or someone a friend or someone you coached, or just helped them.
Yeah, I think it all started with that I cultivated how I am observing my mind, my thinking process.
Okay.
You know, because the mind can be a sort of an enemy or a bit of a burden in the beginning of this process. You know, it can be self-sabotaging, it can be negative, so negative self-talk and so on, doubtful
Hmm.
thinking. All things are invented by the universe in order to make you grow, you know? If you see it that
Right.
way, everything gets like actually very successful as well, you know? Because when you see it as a school and you are the student and you have something which bothers you or something which is apparently negative, then you should just sit back, relax, watch, trust, and just listen what the sacred information is. What is hidden in this situation? I have an example. I have a really good example actually. I I was in Thailand 5 weeks only recently, and I had to go there because I couldn't. I had a broken heart. I was not in a good place. And you could argue that someone broke my heart, but obviously it was just me having experienced that situation as if someone have nobody can actually break your heart but yourself, you
Okay.
know. You can argue about this, but
Yes.
what I indirectly did, and it was really effective, when it in my darkest hour, where I thought this is really shit, you know, this is really, really painful, and I wasn't functioning anymore. I
Oh,
I told myself I want to have a like keep a healthy image of man and woman living together. I want to grieve, but I don't want to stay single for the rest of my life only because I have a broken heart. So
right.
that was my initiation in my darkest hour.
Nice.
When it hurts the most, you just hang in there, and it's not a hoping and not forcing. It is just a surrendering to what is and
Hmm.
trusting that you are in good hands. Okay, there is no such thing as evil in this world. Okay,
Okay.
technically, so you are in good hands at all times. And when there's something apparently negative happening to you, that is a sacred information. So you should just trust it and unwrap the present and look what's inside. And if it's getting a bit darker than before, that's okay too. As I said, you will be always protected. You know,
Right. And there's something on the other side of that. And clearly there
always.
was for you.
Yes,
So, oh my
exactly.
gosh, we're getting towards the end. Okay.
Oh,
Looking
okay.
back, what would you tell your younger self just starting out as a captain or about life and success?
Um, that's a good one. Yeah, I think that I should trust. I should have trusted the truth early on more. You know, I shouldn't have doubted so much myself and my actions based on guilt or shame. You know, like the general what we do generally as humans. You know, very quickly we judge ourselves in a negative
Right.
way.
We're
So I
hard on
think I would have.
ourselves,
Yeah, that's it. That's the right word. Yeah.
especially
So I
at a
think.
young age. We're hard on
Yeah.
ourselves because we want to be successful right off the get-go, but we're so young and we don't know. This
Yeah.
podcast really is about talking to my 25-year-old self, learning what people, you know, trying to educate people that when we're young, we are young. We just have to go along the journey like you did, like I did. You have to
Hmm.
go on the journey and you're not going to be successful right out the gate. It takes time. So I always say stick with it. That would be how I would answer that
Nice.
question. So what
Yeah.
excites you most about the next chapter of your life as you step more fully into mentoring and guiding others?
Yeah. It is super exciting. I think the biggest excitement is basically I'm celebrating my liberation from my own self doubt, and I feel like a
Right.
phoenix. You know, I feel like spreading my wings and not thinking of the future too much. I actually not at all. And there's so much I can give, and support people. So that's what I'm excited about, and this is what I'm passionate about. Same like with the kite surfing, I'm really,
Right.
I cannot wait, this kind of feeling
Oh,
when
I
you
love
wake
it.
up.
Well, I can't wait to see what happens next. And will you still be captaining super yachts?
Sure, yeah, I think it's a transition for me, and it's my bread and butter business, and I've worked so long in this industry, so I think I can still do good things in that environment. But at the
Absolutely.
same time, I want to develop some coaching programs and methods and
Right.
helping people.
I love it. So if someone wanted to follow you or get in touch with you or to have you coach them, how could we follow you?
They can't. It's not set up yet.
Okay, so are you going to set up an Instagram or a LinkedIn or something
I
that
will.
we can? And what do you know what it will be? Will it be your name or?
It will be my name. Yes, I think that's the easiest.
Yeah,
It's also commitment with my it's also a message to my past, because obviously people know me with this name, and it's not
right.
some synonym. So it will be
No,
my
I
name.
think you should, as a marketing
Yeah,
person, I think you should keep it as your name so we can find you.
that's it.
Well,
Yes.
thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was so fun. And I look
Thank you.
forward to continuing the conversation long after we are done today. And I can't wait to see what happens next with you. Thank you so much.
Same.
Tune in each week for another episode of Mastering the Art of Success with host Debbi DiMaggio. Thursdays, 2 p.m. Eastern. Real stories, real strategies, real success.